So Tom, you have an interesting $20 note that has an unusual backstory. What can you tell us about this piece of currency and what makes it so interesting?
In 1905, the U.S. government issued a $20 note backed by U.S. gold coins. So our paper was backed by gold bullion. Everybody in the world wanted our paper money. However, the ink that they used had a tendency to oxidize on the back and turn the back of the note green. And the public did not care for it, and there was a semi-outrage. The government acted very quickly, and in 1906, they changed the ink to a different colored gold. The color held up very well, and the people and the government were happy.
So this note is called the Technicolor note, which I assume in 1905, Technicolor hadn't been invented yet. So that must have been a name that was applied to the note later on.
Yes, yeah, it actually is a nickname due to the many different colors and shades of gold on the note.
So John, I always like coming to your booth at coin shows. You always have the most exotic high denomination notes that you're going to find. You have something really interesting here from the Binion collection. Can you tell me about it?
Well, Charles, you're absolutely right. We do carry the good stuff here. What I want to show you today is talk about the Binion hoard of $110,000 bills that you may or may not have seen. Now, what these look like is the front and back. The interesting part about this is Benny Binion, who was a famous gambler out of Dallas, Texas, who moved up and opened up in 1946 a casino called Benny Binion's Hotel and Casino. And what he did to attract people in 1954 is he went out and got the idea of buying $110,000 bills, okay, to put them on display in front of his casino for people to come in and get their picture taken. And the gimmick was, if they come and get their picture taken, they had to wait an hour to get it, which meant they gambled in the casino, and it became famous. It was the most popular attraction in all Las Vegas, getting over 3 million people a year. Anyway, long story short, in 1999, the casino, which was sold by the father to the daughter, Becky, got into some trouble and needed to raise some cash. Well, the collection was sold off, all 100 of them, to a local legend dealer, I won't mention his name, for a lot of money, and they become available to the dealers to sell to the market. I have sold of the 100 over 63 of these.
Wow.
So I'm real familiar with the Binion notes, and I have the serial numbers. I can tell you where they were located on the inverted horseshoe and the history of each one. But isn't it nice just holding the largest denomination ever issued in the United States?
So I hear you have a scandalous banknote.
Charles, thank you for that question. Back in the early 70s, there was a print run of a note that ultimately became, yes, very scandalous. It was called the sex note. Why was it called the sex note? Let me zoom in a little closer on this particular note and show you. You have the front and we have the back.
I don't see any sex on that.
Yeah, it would be like the old challenging Find Waldo in a series of Where's the Sex? It was scandalous insofar as the Queen Elizabeth was on the face, and of course her integrity and her reputation and her worldwide recognition being the most recognizable face on paper money. So it's completely embarrassed. The word sex appears here in the palm trees. When you zoom up a little closer and merely tilt the note this way, it becomes very clear. Do you see it now?
Oh yeah.
S-E-X. And for that, the print was immediately stopped and ceased production. There are 3 different variations of this note. 1972, 1974, prefix D, prefix A, B, C, and D, four actual print runs, and then it was recognized.
So how did it come about that someone recognized that and was able to disseminate that information?
That's a great question. I would imagine someone late at night, maybe having a few beers, looking at the note, appreciating its beauty, and turning it this way, turning it that way, turning it one side up, upside down.
So is this a popular collector note, or is it very challenging to find?
In high grade, yes, it's challenging to find because it's now 40 years old, 1970, and the quality of gem makes it hard to find. The note was circulated and issued, so it comes in AU, XF, folds, 3-4 folds, but in gem, not so much. There's maybe a half a dozen pieces in this kind of condition.
So this particular note, what's your estimated value?
$2,000, $2,500 is the current market value of this note.
Hey, so Alex, I see in your case you have a $1,000 Canadian banknote. Now, this is a very interesting note because it was withdrawn from circulation. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So why was that?
Okay. Canada has a very high rate of counterfeits, and it's been a problem with their currency. That's why they constantly change the design, and they've actually gone to polymer notes.
Right.
But this particular note was issued and circulated in Canada for probably about 10 years.
Right.
But during that time, people started counterfeiting them, and the counterfeits were so good that I had an experience at a show where I almost purchased 3 of them.
Wow.
And I was lucky enough to have a Canadian dealer at my table who knew they were forgeries, counterfeits, and I refused it, but they looked real original to me. And so you really need to buy them from somebody that's reputable and somebody that will back the sale and not try to scam.
So are there any diagnostics for what constitutes a counterfeit note? Like how would your Canadian dealer friend have recognized it?
Okay. I don't really know the diagnostics, to be honest with you. I guess he was more familiar being a dealer in Canadian money. I had very little experience with $1,000 notes prior to that, and I looked at the notes and I was kind of suspicious, but they really looked good. And a matter of fact, they became such a problem that the Canadian government began withdrawing these from circulation.
Right.
So if you were in Canada today and you showed up at the bank, they would take the $1,000 bill and refuse to sell it or redeem it to somebody else.
Right. So that makes it a collectible and interesting note. But are you suggesting that if your collector wants to have one of these notes in your collection, probably a good idea to have a certified note or to buy one from a PCDA dealer who will back the transaction?
Yes, I'm a PCDA dealer. I've been a dealer for almost 15 years. And yes, you're always better off dealing with a reputable dealer, because if there's any question or if there's any recourse, you can always go back and get your money back.
So the exchange rate now for this note is probably about $700 or so in face value. Is that?
The exact rate was 77 cents.
So $770.
But as a collectible, it's worth a lot more than
Right,
that, because it is an authentic note.
Right, $1,600.
Yes.
So there you have it. Very interesting note. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you.